In this video, I'm visiting Bataille Jiu-Jitsu in Butler, New Jersey. A very good Jiu-Jitsu Academy, very high-level Jiu-Jitsu, run by Alex Delanoy, first-degree black belt. And this is one of his young blue belts. Everyone's very good at the school, very high level, like I said. And this young blue belt teaches the kids class. You could just see just by his movement, he's got great movement. So when he steps in, I grab his ankle, as I always do, because you have to give me that. Either you have to give me that foot, or you're going to lean forward with your body, in which case I'll take your collar sleeve. So here I'm looking to pull his arm across my center line. I have my foot on his waist. That's holding him back from advancing. And I'm just trying to fend him off as best as I can. He's very strong for his size. He's only 160 pounds. He's probably 20 years old or something. Early 20s at best. So I'm twice his age. That was a great passing sequence. If you want, you got to watch that again. And you can also see the way I retain guard. I think gi is very technical at times, you know. No gi is technical because if you're not perfectly technical, you're going to lose control. But gi is technical because there's so many forms of control that counter each other. So there I was able to control his arm and get my typical butterfly sweep. As you could see, I did it kind of like in slow motion. I didn't explode into it. You know, I think when you're visiting an academy, there's a certain polite way to roll. Or in general. So there he was able to get me in his closed guard, and we're doing wrist fighting. And as you could see, I always have my wrist on a right angle to his wrist. That's one of my wrist fighting secrets. So now I have his collar and I'm making a fist. I'm not pressing it into his throat, but if he sits up, my knuckles would go into his throat, making him uncomfortable. But I'm not pushing them into his throat. So as I tell people that I train with, you got to bring your legs up. Here I'm telling them how to break my grip. And that is by pulling your hand up and away just like that. When you do that, I can't follow you. If I do follow you, my posture will be gone. So there you could see he's used quite a bit of effort. He's being very careful. He's kind of like, this school is a big competition school, so I think they see the role a lot more competitively, if that makes sense. And he's very strong and feisty. And technical. I'm really fending off a lot of different things. It's just he has to get his legs more involved. See how his legs are just sitting there? His legs are open. All right, now he closed his guard, but there's nothing his legs are going to do that are going to help him. And when I get in somebody's closed guard, then it becomes just wrist fighting, and that's one of my strengths. So if you have someone in your closed guard and you can't win the wrist fighting, you got to go to something else. And remember, pull forward with your legs. So here he's trying to make an angle so he could suck in an arm bar or an omoplata on my left arm. So you can see he's thinking. See, I'm monitoring with that hand. See the way I monitor? My hands seem to go to his hands like they're magnetically pulled. But that's just from being better at anticipating. See how I'm pushing his arm off? I mean, and believe me, he's stronger than me. I'll admit it. So here I'm dropping my elbow so he can't attack my right arm. And now I'm pulling out. I felt his guard open probably, or I had my knee in his crotch. But here again, he pulled me back into closed guard. So he might be good at closed guard. I'm not sure about that because he doesn't bring his legs up. So again, jiu-jitsu gives us a lot of false positives. That was good. He tried to do a hip bump sweep to armbar. That was sweet. I think I told him as much. So here, like you see his left leg, it's not engaged. He could have it in spider guard. He could have pushed my knee back. He could have kicked my knee back with his left leg, and that would have dropped my posture. So it's like his upper body is strong and he uses it a lot, but in guard, you want to use your lower body more. Also, I was speaking with John before this role, and very, very respectful guy. And he also knew about the channel. I don't know how big of a fan he was. So before this, I went up to him and I said, "You want to do one for the channel?" So I hope he likes this. Very respectful guy. So here I'm, pressuring him a little bit. I'm giving him a little guard pass. He's trying to play butterfly guard. As you can see, look, I'm just scooching to the side. I don't know if that's a word. It's almost like I'm trying to sneak by. So I have this collar, and I'm just incrementally passing on my legs. So here I was able to underhook his leg and push him back. And then he grabbed the hook with his right leg, which is fine with me because I have control of his head and I still have the underhook, and my elbow and knee are connected on the right side, which prevents him from getting a good squeeze with his legs. And it keeps him on his back. As you can see, we're about 7.5 minutes in. I didn't make him, but the bell went off and I said, let's just keep going because, I want to feel somebody's jiu-jitsu. I want to see what they do in different scenarios, in different situations. And I want to get through 12 minutes or 10 minutes or 8 minutes without breathing heavy, without being destroyed physically. I was reading on the 50 and up BJJ Facebook page about how this 50-year-old sacrifices his body for jiu-jitsu, and because jiu-jitsu has all these different benefits. And I agree with him about all the benefits, but I definitely don't agree with sacrificing my body. I'm not there to sacrifice my body. Because believe me, when you get to your 60s and 70s, you don't want to end up in a wheelchair or unable to hold a cup of coffee. So here, look, I'm trying to just slowly make an angle on his leg, flatten his thigh, and pass. He knew that. See, he made a little bit of space there. And now we're going to reset. Now, even here, we didn't reset officially from the position that we were in, which is my fault. I should remind my partner. Not that it's a big deal, but in my mind, I was already working towards something. He's very active. He's very active. He's always trying to do something. He's always trying, he's seeking to submit. And I'm sure jiu-jitsu is going to be amazing within 6 months to a year because his teacher is Alex, and Alex trained with many great coaches. Vlad Kulikov, Jamie Cruz, and Dan Koval, many others in this area. So here I'm letting him grip my collar for the most part. I'm not really addressing. I want to see what he's going to do next. I'm not trying to break that grip. I'm not grip fighting. So there he tried to come up with like a hip bump sweep, and then he was using his knee, which is very impressive. But see, as you could see, even though he's young and very healthy and great shape, he's getting frustrated, which is okay. But it's leading to, he's breathing heavy because he's pushing the gas so hard. Like I said, even if you're driving a fancy sports car, if you don't shift properly and you ask too much of it, you could blow the engine. So that's kind of what's happening here, and that's common at blue belt level. But what I hope to see, and I think I will see eventually, is he'll start to slow down his mind and his movements and realize he doesn't have to rush. He doesn't have to rush to do any of this. Rushing just leads to becoming out of breath. So again, I'm just basically frustrating him. But as I was saying before, we don't want to destroy our bodies training jiu-jitsu. It doesn't have to become that. You should learn proper frames. If you're using jiu-jitsu, your body shouldn't be getting destroyed. Also, if you're able to put your ego to the side and let somebody pass if they're giving you a hard enough time, just say, all right, uncle. Because if you keep hanging on by the skin of your teeth, that's when you get injured. So here I'm explaining to John about, sharpening each other, not going so hard that we have to win, but going hard enough where we're really feeling out these different positions, and our jiu-jitsu is growing because of that. Like I said, jiu-jitsu is like doing magic, right? If you slow it down, your partner could start to understand what you're doing and vice versa, and that leads to jiu-jitsu growth. So here I'm showing him a back take from closed guard. A back take? A back take from closed guard, which I always use. Learned from my last instructor. Probably doing a sloppy version of it, but it works well for me. So here I'm telling him what I was explaining before. He needs to keep his legs engaged. He needs to keep those points of contact. He does really good just using his upper body, but now if he uses his legs, it'll multiply the effectiveness of his guard times a few times, I think. But thank you for watching. More to come from Bataille Jiu-Jitsu. If you want to help support the channel and you find value in my content, I have an ex-martial link in the description. Anything you buy off that link is 15% off if you use code JITSOver50, or you could just buy me a coffee. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe.